What's up guys, and welcome to another World of Tanks tank review with me, Scopetactics. Today we're going to be looking at the Tier 10 British heavy tank, the FV215b. A bit of an unusual tank to say the least, very much unlike any of the other tanks in the tech tree. Let's have a quick look through the stats and then we'll go on to evaluate the vehicle. Hit points, 2,500. Very respectable amount of hit points, 200 behind the least heavily armoured German heavy tank, the 100, and just 500 below the Maus. And if we look at the other heavy tanks, see some Russian heavy tanks. What about the IS-7? 2,150, 350 points shy of the 215b. What about the IS-4? That is on par with the 215b. And I believe that's joint for third highest. I don't think there's any other tanks that get less than that, well, more than that. So it goes from the Maus having 3,000, the E100 having 2,700, and the FV215b at joint third with 2,500. So it's a bit of an unusual vehicle. It's pretty fast at 34.3 kilometers an hour. Pretty good traverse speed at 38 degrees per second. And now the unusual bit. So for a heavy tank, it doesn't exactly have the best hull armour. 152mm at the front, 101mm at the side, and 76 at the rear. The turret, however, is extremely bouncy, very strong. 254mm at the front, 152 at the side, and 101 at the rear. So instantly you think, well, this tank is best at being hull down, and you wouldn't be wrong. We'll come back to that in a second. So the shell damage is, standard 400, and nobody cares about the radio range or anything like that. But it does have an exceptionally good view range at, I believe, is 400 meters. Have a quick look at that before I prove myself wrong. And yeah, 410 meter view range. That's incredible for a heavy tank. If you compare that to some of the Germans, which I believe are quite a bit lower. Well, it's 10 meters more than the E100. 10 meters more than the Maus. And I'm sure 10 meters more than the other heavy tanks. Nobody cares about the radio range. So we'll talk about the gun in a second. Let's go back to the armour. So the armour on the hull of this tank is not exactly what you would call stellar. Not ideal. But what people seem to forget about this tank is that many people see the rear mounted turret as a disadvantage, as a lot of people find them more difficult to play. But by side scraping, you can actually make this tank's armour much more effective, and with that rear mounted turret it makes it a lot easier, so you don't have to expose as much of your hull. And only exposing that big bouncy turret is sure to bounce a lot of shots and keep you safe. And you do not want to be exposing your lower plate, because there's a reason this tank is nicknamed the Tinderbox. Getting shot in the lower plate can damage your armour rack, set you on fire, kill your crew. It's generally not a good idea. And a lot of people will make the mistake of, if they can only see a turret, they'll shoot this, I think it's a commander's hatch at the back, the cupola. And that will bounce a lot. Not only is it angled, it's very rounded and it's not exactly a big target. So, let's just quickly talk about the gun, arguably the best feature of the tank. Now if any of you have played the T125, you'll find that the gun is quite similar. In fact, maybe you should bring it up for reference. I haven't actually played the T125 myself, but I am told that they are very similar tanks. So it's a 120mm gun as well. So the British one gets almost an extra round a minute, 1mm extra penetration, but here are the real kickers. 0.02 better dispersion at 100 millimeters, or meters, sorry, better accuracy, and 0.3 faster aiming time. Now that really does make a difference. Another interesting thing, I'm not sure the T125 can run these, but this tank can actually run a vertical stabilizer, which I would probably recommend. But at the moment I'm running vents, a large caliber tank gun rammer, and a super heavy spall liner. But you could always, I'd probably swap the spall liner out for a vertical stabilizer Mark II. You don't need a gun lane drive, not with 1.7 second aiming time. Just be insane. Now on to crew skills. Now this tank, you want to ignore the armor, you know, it's okay, but you really want to be focusing on the gun. This is the reason you grind to the 215b. So at the moment for the loader, got safe stowage, brothers in arms, and repays. Other skills. See, the loader actually has the radio operator position as well. So you could always go with situational awareness if you wanted to. I personally wouldn't recommend that. Safe stowage is a must because of how often this tank gets ammo racked. The driver. Preventative maintenance for sure. This tank does like to get set on fire. Brothers in Arms is obviously a no-brainer, but there's several other. Obviously, clutch braking, always useful. Smooth ride, always useful. All of the driver skills are good. If situational, but good. The gunner, definitely want a snapshot. Deadeye, I'm not so sure. I could swap that out for snapshot. But it's still good. I think it only works out to a 3% extra chance to damage modules. So take from that what you will. Obviously want 6 cents for the commander, although people say it's not as heavy, it's not as necessary in heavy tanks. I argue against that. I think 6 cents is necessary whatever tank you drive in, especially at tier 10. Always try and get it. If you were looking for other skills though, mentor is good, repairs, recon. I've never tried out the Eagle Eye, I'm sure I've mentioned it before. Somebody could let me know whether that's any good. I've never tried it. So a quick look at the tech tree before we look into some replays. Well, a replay I think. Is this tank worth the grind? Got to go through the medium 1, 2, 3, the Matilda, which is very good. I'd highly recommend you take this line to the mediums instead of the cruisers, just because the Matilda is so much better than the Valentine, but it really is up to you. Churchill's a fantastic tier 5 heavy tank. Can definitely pose a threat to those KV1s that many people struggle with. Churchill 7 can be fun. Very fun if people don't know where to shoot you, because it's got quite bouncy armor. The Black Prince is great, DPM machine with good armor, nice health pool. Definitely underestimated by a lot of Tiger drivers and stuff. If you know where to shoot, you can rip people apart. The Caernarvon, more like a medium tank than a heavy tank. Once you play the Caernarvon, you want to get used to using that hull, because the Caernarvon, the Conqueror, and the 215b basically all the same. Basically all share the same sort of hull or hull armor. But the Caernarvon has these two pretty decent 20-pounder guns, and then the Conqueror is when you get the 120mm. But if you're going through all the British tech tree, I'd highly recommend you go down the heavy line first, because it will unlock modules for the other branches, the Tank Destroyer and the medium tank branches. So I think that's enough talking about the tank itself. I'll show you one of the best replays I've had in this tank so far, and then after I show you the stats, you can judge for yourself whether it's worth the grind. I definitely think it is. It's a niche tank, but unfortunately it's going to be replaced by, I believe, the Chieftain heavy tank before long. So if you want to try out this thing, before it gets replaced, you better get a move on. And without further ado, let's look at a replay. So here I am in my FV215b, platooned up with two of my friends on South Coast. Here I am figuring out where to go, and I decide to go down the eastern flank. I'm platooned up with a Batchat 25 ton and a FV215b 183 British Tier 10 tank destroyer. Now I was thinking about going to the beach to see if I could hide my hull, but I decided against it to go and cover this flank. As you can see, I'm running a large repair kit, a large med kit, and automatic fire extinguishers, as is common in Tier 10 vehicles. And as you can see, the vehicle is not that slow. On average, an extra 4 km an hour on most Tier 10 heavy tanks. So we can get into position that little bit quicker. So I'm just scouting here. Scouting a heavy tank, yeah right. Using the 410 meter view range. Just seeing what I can see. I was expecting a few heavy tanks at least to come this way. And there's the first one spotted, a Tiger 2. Bounced off in there. Fire again. Straight through the upper plate by the looks of it for 420 damage. 20 points more than the average damage of the gun. Just look how quickly this gun reloads. I see a 1375 and switch my fire to him. Now that's what this tank is good at. That's what really makes it good, is the gun. Just that incredible dispersion. I'm sure I was running vertical stabilizers on it in this game, it must have been. So we switch our attention, our Maus is spotted. The 4502A isn't too much of a threat with an IS-7 there. The Jagdpanther 2 just got his arse handed to him. A little bit worried about the western flank with the E75 and the IS-7 over there, so I decided I should try and speed things up a bit to at least get some fire on these guys. I think I try and finish off the Jagdpanther 2. As you can see, our team are getting our asses handed to us in the west, but the game is still anybody's game. I spot an IS-6. 1375 comes around and just gets demolished. I do pull back to try and stay behind here so I don't get shot by the artillery. Definitely don't want to get shot by what artillery they got. Looks like a 261 and a 212A. See the Panther 2, try and get fire on him. The IS-6 is coming round. Just miss a shot as he drives off the edge of the hill there. There's a 4502A, looking for shots on him, don't appear to have any. I think I try and rush this Panther 2 to get him out the way. Oh, I rammed the IS-6. The IS-7's having a bit of a tough time. You can't play selfishly in Tier 10 games. Have to help each other out. Panther 2, destroyed. Look at that gun. And I get shot by the 4502A, which I'm sure I said don't worry about before. Just miss a shot on him. And we bounce his shot back. Now I know I need to destroy that Maus, which is pushing his way straight up into our base. We've got 3 tank destroyers there, but I'm not sure how much health the Maus is on. I tried to play it carefully, but we've got to push. That mouse is on 2/3 of his HP. Just extend the view here, I'm not sure why that keeps going back. Sorry for that distraction. So I spent way too much time messing about with this T-rate heavy tank. The E75 and the T110E4 is pushed up around the back of the base from the beach. Our E50 is still there, fighting with an IS-3 and an E50M. I would go and help him out, but I got side shots on the mouse. Just get one shot into him. He turns his attention to me, I think. Oh, no, he doesn't. I was thinking of going for the track there from what I remember, but I'd rather just get the damage on him. He can't get his gun over to hit me. Their E75 is almost destroyed, which is good. My platoon mate charges the mouse, gets a nice hit of 1270 I think it was into him. As I tell him to come down to me so I can finish off the mouse and keep him alive. I finish off the mouse, he's got time to reload. 4502A is pushing up the eastern road. And the E75 is still alive. Artillery just missed a shot on me. Luckily I stopped to look at the IS-3 or the E50M. And I get shot by the 261. Luckily it doesn't do as much damage as it could have. Now we know there's two tanks capping, and at the moment I'm assuming it's T110E4 and the E75. The Borsig is pushing up to try and destroy the 452A. I've got my 183 behind me. I decide I need to push. So I've been spotted, you know, something can see us. There's the E75 and the 452A. No, I don't just YOLO straight around the corner. I try to angle. Our Conqueror gun carriage destroys the E75, I bounce the T110E4 and I start moving in to get more shots on him. I tried to shoot for his lower plate, and I should quickly mention that don't shoot directly at the lower plate of the T110E4. You want to shoot just either side of it, either side of the beak. So the T110E4 does get one into me there. I missed the side shot on him. Try and block him and shoot him in the turret. Finish him off. So we can see the Object 261 is on the beach on 9 HP. The E50M and the Object 261 are probably the most dangerous players. There's the IS-3. I get shot in the back by the E50M and decide I have to engage him first. Desperately asking my platoon mate in the 183 to get a shot at him, but I think he misses or doesn't fire. So I'm angling now, angling my best, trying to bounce the E50M shots straight into him. There's a mouse saying the IS-3 is a bot, so I angle for a shot on the IS-3. I don't know, do I bounce this shot there or do I not? Either way, you'll around straight through the front of that beak, and the Object 261 is last. We know he's still on the beach. At this point, this is one of my early matches in the 215b, so I don't actually have any Hesh loaded. A Hesh is very situational, but it can be handy sometimes. Now obviously at this point I'm looking for the 261 and seeing I'm the only person over there, and know that if I kill him, it could be a Randy Walters. But he's a good player. Can I get him? And he's right there. And I pop out and quickly blast him in the face. That's 8 kills in a 215b. Well, let's have a quick look at the stats. So here we are with the results for that replay. 4,158 experience doubled, 83, almost 84,000 credit profit. Well, not profit, you'll see why in a minute. Mastery Badges Tanker, Radley Walters Medal, High Caliber and a Top Gun. 5,187 damage done, 8 vehicles destroyed, 1,232 experience. And you can see why we didn't make as much as that. So out of the 84,000 credits we made, we spent 51,000 just repairing and resupplying a vehicle for a grand total of 33,000 credits earned. So you're not going to make a hell of a lot of money in this thing, considering you will not have matches like that every game. But it's a niche vehicle, it's good at what it does. The gun is what makes it really. That's the only reason you would take it over a T110E5, unless you really like rear-mounted tanks. So anyway, that'll do it for my FV215b tank review. Contrary to the opinions of those who think that I can't drive tanks above, like, what was it, tier 6 or tier 5? I do play tier 10s. I've only got one, but you know, that doesn't mean I can't play it. If any of you have 215Bs, please let me know your opinions on it. I always like to see how other people's opinions differ with my own. If you've got any replays, send them in to me. I always enjoy watching your guys' replays. I apologise if I don't answer to any messages in-game. I have had a few messages asking for platoons and the like. I will try and get around to doing platoons one day, but not yet, as I simply do not have the time, especially between all these missions and stuff. But feel free to send me a message. Please let me know what you thought in the comments below, especially with regards to the audio of the video, because I'm always a bit unsure about how that is. I'm sure the actual visual quality is fine. Anyway, I'll try and make these a bit more frequent. I still haven't reviewed that bloody Panzer 2J, which I said I was going to do. God, how many months ago was that? Maybe I'll get around to that. Anyway guys, thanks for watching. Hope to see you next time. Goodbye.